The Ryzen embedded V1500B processor in the Synology DS1621 Plus desktop 6-bay form factor NAS from Synology. It's got twin fans on the back. There's a PCI ×4. It's actually an 8-slot. You actually get 4 lanes for a possible expansion card. You have the possibility of adding 2 eSATA devices, so you can have 2 DX517 5-bay expansion units from Synology to give you a total of 16 bays. You've got 4 1 gig LANs, got 2 USB 3 ports. And I want to tell you about my experiences with this NAS. One of the new lineup desktop form factor NASs from Synology, and it's 10 gig capable. I'm saying 10 gig capable because it comes with 4 1 gig LANs. I've got one of Synology's 10 gig capable, well 10 gig network cards to give me 10 gig speed as I look to upgrade my home network. I did not pay for this Synology NAS. Incredibly, when I asked them would they like to send me a Synology NAS for review, they said they would, as long as I did 2 videos talking about this NAS. Content is mine, my opinion is my own, but I'm just letting you know how I came by this NAS. So I have already done the overview. When I first got the NAS, I did a walkthrough of Synology Drive, and it was all looking good on first setup. The question was, what is it capable of? What kind of speeds am I getting out of it? I have to say, because I've installed 2 4 terabyte Evo 860s SSDs in the first 2 bays, and I have them in RAID 0. So am I getting the network speeds that I want? 10 gigs, in other words, 1,250 megabytes per second of actual throughput. And indeed, is there any benefit from having these in RAID? I say, is there any benefit? And some of the lower end NASs can only read and write at like 100 megabytes per second. So am I getting the network speed? And indeed, can these read and write at those sort of speeds? Can you saturate this box? So that's what this video is about. Going to go through my benchmarking, how pleased or not pleased. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I have been with this NAS in the time I've had with it, and I'm going to finish with a quick run through of how you can use any Synology to back up your phone, all your photos, all your videos, back them up to your Synology NAS. 3 different ways of doing that. So first of all, my basic testing. So I'm going to see what kind of network speed I'm getting, and then just what I can get reading and writing over my network to the 2 SSDs in this Synology DS1621 Plus NAS. So I'm going to start by running the Anvil storage utility benchmark, just using a 1 gig file at this point. This is going to give me a general view over a range of read-write scenarios, as well as the input-output operations per second. So my sequential read-writes, they're looking great. This is exactly what I was looking for. 963 megabytes per second read, 820 megabytes per second writes. But of course, real-world scenarios, we need to know smaller files, random files. And I can see right off the bat, the issue on this particular benchmark seems to be 4K reads. If I compare it to running an SSD on my local machine, I can see that's where it's falling down. 4K single thread, 91, 22 megabytes per second. Obviously, single thread, it's only hitting one of those disks, but still QDepth 4 is half my local machine. Same story again, QDepth 16. Otherwise, looking really great. It is just a 1 gig file. Of course, the Evos themselves have a 4 gigabyte cache, so larger files are going to tell us more. What I want to know right away is, what's it looking like for pure bandwidth? I'm going to run an upstream, downstream Iperf run. I'm basically getting an average of 7 gigabits speed, 875 megabytes a second, 7.5 gigs upstream, 6.5 gigs downstream. So I'm going to run AGA Video Systems disk test and try it with different size test files. Going to start with the big one, 64 gigabyte test file. I'm doing 3 runs. I'm averaging out 837 megabytes per second write, 920 megabytes per second read. That's really, really good. Now trying various size test files. They're all giving something averaging around 900 megabytes per second write, 1000 megabytes per second read. It's looking really good. Let's try a real world scenario. I'm going to transfer over from my PC to my Synology NAS 13 gigabyte video files. Each one's coming from a separate SSD, so we can really see what my Synology RAID is capable of. I'm getting about 360 megabytes per second on each of those files. That's 1080 megabytes per second real world scenario. That's true 10 gig speed. So I'm not going to mess about now. I'm going to use a 32 gigabyte test file. Going to run crystaldiskmark, and this is the benchmark on that pair of RAID SSDs on my Synology NAS. Really happy with these results. If I compare it to running on SSD on my local system, that's a single SSD. The biggest difference is going to be that 4K random with a single thread. Obviously, then it's a single disk, even on my RAID 0 system. And these small files, obviously latency becomes a bigger issue. And I'm really happy. Obviously, the bandwidth is absolutely there. But hitting the RAID array from my local machine, going over my local network, there is a bit of a hit compared to if I ran the exact same thing on my local machine. But just keeping things in perspective, if I was running off a mechanical drive on my local machine, this is what I'm looking at. That QDepth 1 random 4K is so low, there may be a bit of a hit running the RAID over the local network, but it's a million miles ahead of running a mechanical hard drive on my local machine. So really, really pleased with this NAS. It can do exactly what I wanted. I wanted 10 gig speeds on my network, and I wanted to be able to use that 10 gigs across the network, which I absolutely can with my two RAID 0 SSDs. But obviously, you get that full benefit with the bigger files. The smaller files, you are taking a hit. Clearly, there's more latency. There's more things going on when it's going over my local LAN. However, a million miles better than using a mechanical drive for sure on my local machine. And, you know, and it's similar for small files to a local SSDs, but way better. I am saturating. I am getting full whack when I use the big files and the big transfers. Just for kicks, I thought I'd run a Geekbench 5 on here, do a little benchmark, compare it to one of the, you know, the other NASs that I could have been looking at from Synology, and seeing, am I getting good value from, is this real bang for buck, which on paper, absolutely, as I went over that in my first video, absolutely looks, you know, a sweet spot at the moment for a desktop NAS from Synology. So let's run the Geekbench 5. I'm running it via my Docker on my Synology 1621 Plus, and then I am going to show you the benchmark scores. Copy that into my browser, and there are the scores. This is the second run I've done. 2332 was my first run, 2344 my second run. These are really respectable scores. I'll compare it to what may be my dream machine at the moment, the DS1621 XS Plus, which has the Xeon processor. Single core, not that much in it. Obviously, it's still an advantage to the 1621 XS. And again, multi-core, much stronger, but maybe by not as much as you would expect on the DS1621 XS Plus. So really happy with those scores there. The 1621 Plus is the upgrade to the 1618 Plus, and as you can see, the benchmarks basically are twice as high as on the 1618 Plus. Just for kicks, I thought I'd have a look at what the highest scoring one at the moment is on a Geekbench in terms of a Synology NAS. Looks like the RS3617 XS, which is a $4,000 rack-mounted NAS, so not really comparable in any way. Thought might be interesting to see if we are a world away. We're not really a world away. 2332, 3619 multi-score. And again, it's the DS920 Plus, which is the upgrade to the DS918 Plus, which I have. But it has the same processor as the DS1520 Plus, which is the one often talked about against the DS1621 Plus because it has integrated graphics, has hardware transcoding. As you can see, the 1621 Plus, though, in terms of CPU grunt, is well ahead of the 920 Plus, which is, as I say, the same processor as the 1520 Plus. So as I said in my first video, I think the 1621 Plus, at its around £800 price point, really does look like a sweet point in the Synology desktop form factor NAS family. So again, definitely seems to be a sweet spot at the moment. Obviously, they now do an 8-bay version of this NAS with the same processor. So a little bit, you pay a little bit more, you get 2 extra bays, and obviously for some RAID setups, that's going to be something you may well want. I'm really happy. I'm getting exactly what I wanted from this NAS. One question we all end up asking ourselves is, can it run a Plex media server? Because there's no hardware transcoding on this CPU. It's not Intel, it's not Atom, there's no integrated graphics. It's all going to be done software transcoding. What sort of performance can we get from Plex? Is it still going to be something usable? So this is my Plex testing. Blade is a 38.2 megabit per second 10-bit HDR file. It's a bit of a torture test for Plex. First thing we're going to do is see, can it software transcode in real time? Real time would mean it's transcoding at 1 times or greater. I do this by going to optimize. I'm going to transcode it down to 720p 4 megabits per second. I'm doing this on the server itself, and I'm seeing as a first step what it looks like it's capable of. 1.6 times better than real time. That's a decent start. What's it doing to the server? So we're just under 80%. So this server is doing nothing but transcoding. Obviously, if you were doing plenty of other stuff, it would be a different matter. It wouldn't be so doable. Hitting like 90% now and dropping just below real time. 10-bit HDR, X265 codec, 38.2 megabits per second file. It's going to be stuttering, but it looks like it would play. So I'm going to cancel this. So I'm on the app on my desktop. I'm going to try playing that. First of all, direct play. So the audio's direct play, the video's direct play. There shouldn't be a problem. Your CPU's now recovered. And it's playing nice and smooth, as you would hope, because we're not doing any transcoding at this point. And I'm going to fast forward, click through. That's lovely. That's lovely and smooth. Kick it up. Now let's try some transcoding. Imagine you was on your mobile. You want to take it down to, say, 720p 3 megabits per second. It's playing fine. CPU is around 80%. It will play. Can you jump about? Now we've got some lag. It's a few seconds of lag. And then it plays. That is doable. Okay, let's try something a bit more real-world scenario. Jumanji 1080p, 27.5 megabits per second file. It's an 8-bit file. Let's see if we can transcode multiple streams. 1080p transcoding down to 720p, 3 megabits per second. Something could well be a scenario over the internet. The server is totally maxed out. As you can see, the 1 minute average 39.54, and that's 100% utilization. 6 transcodes going on. So with no interaction between these 6, I'm getting stuttering on 1. That's the first bit of stuttering I've had. But it plays. Now it's playing fine. They're all playing. And obviously the problem's going to come when you try and interact. If you try and fast forward, if you just watch, this is actually working, isn't it? Remember, no hardware transcoding on the 1621 Plus. So it's when you interact, fast forward, skip back, etc. That's when you're going to have your issue. So let's see what it takes to get below 100% usage. So at the moment, totally maxed out, 43 on the load average. Okay, I've now got a single 1080p stream transcoding down to 720p 3 megabits per second, and that's still, unfortunately, really smashing the CPU. So the 1 minute average 7.1. We've got 8 threads, so we're just under where we'd want to be. Doesn't look like 2 would play very well, but that should work for 1. So we're under the 8, which means no threads should be waiting. It's playing, not buffering. Let's skip through. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi. It's just about doable, but yeah, a little bit disappointing. These streams play fine until you interact. If you're not going to be doing much fast forwarding, rewinds, you'll probably get away with 2 streams transcoding. Let's have a look. That's 2 streams transcoding. That appears battery smooth. We are at the same place on the CPU. We're at 6 for the load average, 7, just under full utilization, and skipping 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, and there is the problem. 9 Mississippi, and we'll just do it. You only want to fast forward or rewind once or something. That works. Yeah, okay. Still battery smooth. All right, let's go for the third. So we're playing 3 streams, all transcoding. They're all working fine. But our load average now, 17.3. So we've got big problems on the CPU. And now if we fast forward, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi. Now we're into no-go territory. Depends how much patience you got. We know how to play actually 6 transcodes until you interact. You can certainly do multiple streams. I'm getting 6 transcodes before there's stuttering and buffering without interaction, and 3 streams with interaction, just about doable. Again, absolutely usable as a Plex media server. Is it going to be other options? You know, if you're using it on a bigger scale, then I guess you're going to be looking at something a bit more horsepower and that's doing hardware transcoding. But for my use, and certainly it can do more than 1 transcode, can certainly run a 4K, a 10-bit HDR file. You know, it's not going to be battery smooth as you're skipping through it, but you could certainly play it direct play, no problem, and even transcoding that down to say 1080p, still absolutely usable. That just leaves a quick look at how you can use this NAS to back up your videos and your photos from your phone. 3 ways to back up photos and videos with Synology. They all involve an embedded app called Photo Backup. Photo Backup will also back up your videos. The simplest route is DS File. This app is a simple way to browse all files on your Synology NAS. You'll find an option that says Photo Backup. Enable your photo backup. Remember, using your internal IP will mean this will be network-only access. If you use your Connect ID, you will have full internet access from anywhere. You will need to choose a destination on your Synology NAS, any folder you have already created, and create a specific folder to keep your backup. Select that folder. So choose what to back up. I'm on Android. You can just back up your DCIM folder, which will contain your camera pictures, but you won't be able to select any specific folders within that main folder. You can back up all folders on your device, but they won't be nested. They will be in individual folders. By that I mean all my folders, but they're not showing where they were originally nested. And DCIM is one main folder, even though it will contain other folders. To keep it simple, I'm selecting DCIM. I want to back up my entire phone, not just all new ones from now on. I'm only going to do it when I'm connected on Wi-Fi. If I didn't want to back up my videos, I would select upload photos only, but I also want to back up videos and keep the original file names. And that's done. It's showing me how many photos I'm backing up. And by looking on my Synology NAS itself, file station, that's my single SSD. And there is the phone backup I've created, and it's already downloading all my photos and of course my videos. Remember, Photo Backup is an embedded app within the DS File app. That's the simplest route. The next route is using the DS Photo app. For this, you will need to download from the package center Photo Station. I've downloaded Photo Station, so I can now set that up on my phone. Log into the NAS. Again, I'm looking for the Photo Backup option. Tap to enable. So again, slightly different. Now I've got to just slide it on. Allow access. Sign in again. Now choose what to upload. I have to give this a name again. I'm going to be Phone Backup. Set the permissions. Select that Phone Backup folder. Okay, now I can choose my options again. Very similar to last time. Already the destination is now selected for me because I've just created the backup folder. I'm going to, for simplicity, back up just DCIM. You can back up the whole of your device. Back up all my existing photos. And although it never says videos, it does include videos. Unless you actually select upload only photos, which I won't select. That's done. By the way, if when you upload your photos, you want to delete them from your device, you can select the free up space, which I am not going to do. This is just a backup. Now I can see the number of files being uploaded to my NAS as a backup. But we've got more options now. It's part of an embedded app on my Synology NAS. If I go to my Synology NAS, I open up Photo Station. So it's not just a plain folder. Now we have all sorts of options, including our sharing options, general options, photo options, sharing, blog, user accounts, groups, etc. View all my photos, videos in a nice browser window, and I can make several albums, dedicated albums if I wanted to. My preferred option is Synology Moments. This will integrate with Synology Drive. So have Synology Drive already installed on your NAS, and then go to Package Center and look for Moments. Install that. So that's now installed on my NAS. I can open it up on my phone. Remember, signing in with your local IP will make it network only. This time the backup is the main element of the app. Backup all photos. Enable photo backup. Remember, they hit you with photo up front, but it does videos as well. And familiar options. I'm backing up all my photos. It will back up videos unless you tick upload photos only. We now have more options. Upload only when in charging mode, and the option to skip duplicate files. And that's now backing up. Moments is a neat little app where everything is organized in multiple ways. You can customize many of those ways. Integrates with the NAS Moments app, which integrates with Drive. So already my Moments folder is indeed part of Synology Drive. I go to my Drive folder. So that Moments folder is already created for me within my Drive, but I can view it through the dedicated app. So it is, again, at its heart, a simple backup solution for your photos and videos, but it's also a viewer from anywhere. Here I am on the actual NAS itself. Everything is organized in date order. I can view just the photos, the albums. And albums are the slant on albums, so I can just see my recents, dedicated folder for videos. You can tag, you can share. I can have a simple folder view, or the timeline view, can switch between them. There indeed is the DCIM folder. It's worth noting, once you're into root part of your folder, they are then organized into subfolders named by date. Part of the app is an AI. It will pick out the best moments for you, finding similar photos. So that's my video wrap up. I am really happy. I didn't pay for it, but if I had paid for this, absolutely, I would have been happy. I would have got exactly what I had expected to get. And I think value for money for what I was trying to get. So I hope you've found my video of use to you, and I thank you for watching.